God bless everyone that's watching this. I just wanted to just go through um, something that touched me, and I just want to speak on it. It was a verse that I read. Um, it was Galatians 6, verse 8. And actually goes like this: Those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature. But those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about the first part, those who live only to satisfy their own sinful nature. All right. So let's talk about these people. All right. And I'm not saying that I'm perfect because I fall in that category too, because we are born into sin. So normally everything that we think of first is usually bad things. So when we wake up in the morning, it's like, oh, I hope this person doesn't piss me off. I hope there's not traffic. And of course, there always is traffic. You know what I'm saying? So, you always hear like help, like self-help coaches, and they teach you how to think positive and to stay positive. But sometimes that's hard to do because of the life that we live in. We live in a broken world. So it's hard to live a life of positivity because all around us is negativity. So this part is really talking about we take everything that is harmful to us and start living that life. So we watch the drama unfold on TV or social media and things like that, and we put that into our spirit, which that's what the Bible calls decay. Because after a while, it does nothing good for your spirit. So the first thing we need to realize is that we're not just humans; we're spirits. So your emotions, your thoughts, the way you think, everything that comes before you actually do it, that's the spirit. And that's what we fail to realize. Like, I understand we're living in a physical form, but this physical form will die. This physical form will go back to where it came from. But the spirit lives on. So as long as you understand that and you live by that, then you could reap the other benefits of living in the spirit. But the first we're going to talk about is the decay. All right. So it says their own sinful nature will harvest decay and death from that sinful nature. So it sounds exactly what it is. But sin goes more than what you think it is. Sin is just simply just um, going out and somebody crosses your path in the wrong way, and you just think these thoughts of, man, this person really pissed me off. That's a sin. So it's simple as that. All right. But sometimes what we need to do is take that sin, capture it, then understand where it's coming from, understand that that person is probably having a bad day, and we need to do better with the way that we think and how we handle the situation going forward. But sometimes people like to live in that moment and they take it a step further than that. So they think that every single time they go into life, just going through day by day situations, they feel like everybody's out to get them, or they feel like everything's around them is just negative. And it's because of the fact that they're stuck uh, with that first thought, because the first thought is always going to be the thought of, I should do this. And it shouldn't be that. We should have the thought like, hey, you know what? That person's having a bad day. I understand. I'm going to give them grace, which a lot of us humans are not good at giving grace. And I myself, I'm still learning how to try to, you know, give people grace. Because people piss you off, they annoy you. That's part of this life, this world that we live in now. Understanding that, we should have a little bit more wisdom, taking that and flipping it to the other side. All right. And how can you live a life that not just pleases yourself, but other people? So when they see you, it's like, how are you able to deal with the situations that you're dealing with and be so calm? And a lot of times we don't know how to get there. We don't know how to do that. Um, so harvesting is very important because when we start practicing these things, then it just become a downward spiral. But the same thing can happen the other way. So when you start practicing those thoughts of, uh, I'm going to give this person grace today, or even when you have a thought of fear, like how am I going to pay the bills and things like that, We need to know how to practice. Okay, well, tomorrow's another day. I'm going to try to figure out how to get out this situation. I'm going to trust God. I'm going to put my trust in God, knowing that I'm going to come with an idea. I'm going to come with something to make this happen. And that's the way that we should be thinking every single day. So then you got the second part that goes to, but those who live to please the Spirit will harvest everlasting, there goes that word harvest again, harvest everlasting life from the Spirit. So again, it takes practice. Everything that I'm telling you is everything that I've done and I applied in my life, and it took practice. So I had to do it every single day. First, I had to get up in the morning, look in the mirror, and tell myself that I love myself. Because a lot of times, a lot of these reasons why we act the way we do is because of trauma, because of stuff that we allowed to happen in our lives, or stuff we couldn't control in our lives. And we created to be an identity for us when that's not the case. Now, that's why the Bible is so important, because the Bible doesn't teach you. It doesn't condemn you to the point where you feel like you're worthless. It's not true. It's the whole point of it is to lift you up, to inspire you, to find those things that are inside of you that make you feel that way, bring it out to the open. And then the Bible calls us to cast it to Him, to Christ. He takes all the burdens, and you find that peace that goes beyond understanding. But it takes practice. It takes time. The only way to get through this, the only way for you to see in a different light is to practice living that life. And when you do that, God promises that He will give you grace. He promises you that He will send you peace. And that's the whole reason for the Holy Spirit. He's the comforter. That's the whole reason why we need to be in contact more with our spiritual side, more than our physical side. All right. So it says, but those who live to please the Spirit. So even though I want to take my time, sleep a little bit longer, and in that moment, and right before daylight, when the Spirit wakes me up and it tells me it's time to pray. Sometimes I don't want to pray. Sometimes I feel like, all right, let me just close my eyes for 15 minutes, and I'll get back to it. That's the sinful nature inside of me. It wants to physically, my flesh just wants to nap. But I have to please the Spirit in order for me to have a pleasing life to my Father or Jesus Christ, to God, right? I know I got to do that, but still, it's a matter of, uh, it's not about me and pleasing myself. It's about pleasing the Spirit, which is much more important in our lives. Because if I am able to uh, think outside of the box, meaning positive, and think a way that I've never done before, there will be a change. People will see a change in me, and there has been a change because I thought negative pretty much my whole life. But when I found Christ, when Christ found me, I should say, when He found me, that's one of the first things that He told me was that I am loved. And the problem with me was that I felt that I wasn't loved enough. So, and I even put it on my chest, I am not worthy. But that could go two different ways. I'm not worthy to be in front of His presence, which I'm not because I'm a sinner. But at the same time, I was saying to myself, physically, I am not worthy, when that is not true. God calls us He calls us more than conquerors. So what does that mean? You know what I mean? Like, why would He say all of that? Why would He say all these good things about His people? Because He knew that living this life, there was going to be doubt. The enemy is putting so much doubt into social media, especially, right? So people doubt themselves and they feel that they have to work harder to maintain this peace, to gain this peace, when it's not true. When all you need to realize is that a lot of that are lies that the enemy puts into our own heads. First of all, and when we recognize that we're spirits, then we have no choice but to realize that we need to pray, that we need to get in those moments with God. And I'm not saying get on your knees and pray for like 3 hours. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that when you get in front of a counselor, you get in front of somebody and they spill the beans and you testify to everything that's going on in your life, you do the same thing with Him. And this is what I learned. This is what He's taught me to do. So when I realized that I kept things to myself, but I led it to Him, I started realizing that a lot of this anxiety, a lot of this pressure that I was feeling, that I was building up inside of me, started releasing. Now it goes back to what the scripture says of being free. Now I am free because I feel like I'm not tied down. I'm not bound to certain thoughts. I'm not bound to certain addictions or bound to certain habits that we all have. And I mean, you know what I'm talking about. When you start getting tired, you get an attitude. You know what I mean? Just little things that your body and your physical body is so used to because it's easy to do that way because we were born in sin. So everything that we do is somehow evil in a sense, you know? But it takes practice. So if I give my wife an attitude when she says, "Hey, can you cook today?" Instead of me giving an attitude, I need to learn how to give her grace because she's giving me grace. And plus, she trusts me to handle that task. That's how I should look at it, you know? But the first response that I get is like, I do not want to do this. And why are you making me do this? You know what I'm saying? I do, she cooks, I do the dishes. This is my point. But sometimes she'll tell me to cook. So that's why I'm saying that. But anyway, but you use that in your own interpretation and your own life and what, you portray it in your life and your own circumstances. So going back to pleasing the spirit. And then you talk about the harvest part. Because you practice this every day, God promised that the harvest will be something that you will experience in time. So it's more than just the fact of saying it and doing it. It's more of just doing it and understanding that in time, all of that is going to make sense. But you have to be willing to take the time. And I feel like this is where people lose a lot of it because their attention span is like this now. So they don't want to sit through the process of looking themselves in the mirror and realizing certain things about themselves that they need to change. And there's nothing wrong with that. That just means that you're human. And that means that the Lord is just trying to change certain parts about you. That's it. It doesn't, he's not trying to condemn you. He's not trying to tell you that you're going to hell because you're acting this way. He's just saying that he's asking you to change. That's it. All I'm saying to you is just try it. Just give yourself grace. Give yourself grace to put the time in. And even if you can't get on your knees and pray, you could, when you're in your car, all right, before you get into that phone call with your girlfriend or your friend that talks about negativity, take that time and replace it with something positive, like hearing a word or like the Bible app that I use. You could play it back and just let it play. Let those words sink into your spirit. You need to feed that spirit. Practice it. And that's what the Lord talks about, being righteous. Doing the best as you can to live this life. Not to say that we're going to be perfect. I'm not saying you're going to be perfect, but I'm just saying just work on the change to be the best version of yourself. That's it. That's all I'm asking right here. So what I want to do is I want to continue doing this. I want to kind of help you guys in a sense of not just your physical well-being, but your spiritual well-being. And I just want to prove to you and show you how the spiritual and the physical are ultimately connected and how taking the spiritual aspect of it could change your physical aspect because you don't do anything unless this says so. So the physical doesn't work unless the spiritual part says that it needs to be done. So if you have anger in your heart, that's coming from your heart itself, your spiritual part of you. You're going to act out whatever is in your heart. So I just want you to recognize those things because that's one of the first things that the Lord showed to me. Whatever I put into my heart, I will reap in the physical. And I don't want to produce negativity. I want to produce positivity. And that's why I started doing these songs because I have a lot in my heart that I wanted to speak of. And I wanted to share my testimony of what I went through from the beginning, from when God found me to where I am now. And there's a growth there Is it a great, like, am I like this great? No, not at all, because I'm still learning, but I'm joyful because of the fact that I could share this with you now. And now, since I figured out how to do it, you could do the same thing and live that life the best that you can. But it's going to take practice, and you have to be okay with that time. So just take this time, just like I took this time to make this video. I'm doing the same thing. You will do the same thing. Just take that time for yourself. Read the Bible, read some scripture, and let God show you how does this apply to my life. So before I go any further, because I'd probably talk for like another half an hour if I wanted to, but I choose not to. I choose restraint. If you have any questions, of course, you could comment this video. If you want like a one-on-one or something like that, maybe a pep talk, or just you want to know or learn what I've learned through this spiritual walk, you contact me and message me whenever you want. Uh, the Cross Between Us, Jacob's Love Song. You can reach out to us, reach out to me. Uh, and I'm here to help. I'm here to try to improve your lives if I can. Uh, so thanks for watching. God bless, and talk to you soon.